Its soaring mountains and fertile valleys, sheltered harbours and offshore islands, its rugged coastline and long sandy beaches combine to form some of the most spectacular scenery in Ireland. The peninsula stretches for some 40 miles into the Atlantic Ocean from the rest of County Kerry. More than 250 million years ago, great upheavals in the Earth's crust formed the peninsula's mountainous backbone, Ireland's second highest range of mountains. Great glaciers and melting ice caps carved out vast areas between the mountains, leaving the landscape dotted with shallow lakes. As the ice melted and retreated northwards, the sea levels rose to leave Ireland and Britain isolated from mainland Europe. The first people came to Ireland around 9,000 years ago, and to the Dingle Peninsula around 6,000 years ago, where they set up temporary camps along the coast and lived off the rich supply of game and fish. When the knowledge of farming spread across Europe from the east, population levels increased and the hunter's nomadic lifestyle was abandoned in favour of permanent settlements. A surplus of food allowed these early farmers more time for spiritual development, and while the houses of the ordinary people have long since disappeared, the houses of the dead have survived the passing of thousands of years. Under this pile of stones are the remains of a megalithic tomb, situated high on a hillside overlooking the modern landscape, and one of the many to be found on the peninsula. Great standing stones were erected, perhaps as a monument to some important person or event, but their full significance remains a mystery. Sometimes 3 or more standing stones were erected, some aligned to the rising sun on the summer solstice, or to the setting sun on the winter solstice, perhaps to mark important periods in the annual cycle of the lives of these Bronze Age people. With the passing of centuries, population levels continue to increase, and the peninsula is dotted with remains of ancient farmsteads, which are often found side by side with present-day settlements. These farmsteads, known as ring forts, were circular enclosures of earthen banks, and there are some 30,000 of them in Ireland. Some farmsteads were enclosed with massive stone walls, and some of the best examples are found near Slade Head. Within these enclosures, they built their dwelling houses and farm buildings. The little round houses were shaped like igloos or beehives, and are commonly known as beehive huts today. Cattle and sheep were brought within the walls at night to protect them from wolves. Life in Ireland wasn't always peaceful according to ancient literary sources, and petty wars and cattle raids were common occurrences. During emergencies, families took refuge in narrow underground passages under their houses. No one knows why cliff-top forts, such as this example at Dunbeg, were built on coastal promontories around the peninsula. Were they places of temporary refuge used by the local communities in troubled times, or strongholds established by invaders? An invasion of a different kind occurred some 1500 years ago with the arrival of Christianity. These early Christians established small, self-sufficient communities on remote and exposed areas, such as the offshore islands, where they pursued a life of prayer and meditation. Once it became accepted by the higher orders of society, the new religion spread rapidly on the mainland, adapting itself to the lifestyle of the ordinary people. These small monastic settlements reflected those of the rest of the community. Circular stone enclosures with dwelling houses and workshops, such as this one at Riask near Ballyferriter. A wall separated the domestic area from the sacred area, and within this sacred area, each community of monks built their church or oratory, the focal point of each settlement. Stones inscribed with simple crosses or more elaborate Celtic designs are an important feature of monastic enclosures. The most perfectly preserved example of these early stone churches to be found in Ireland today is Gallarus Oratory. It is also the most visited archaeological site on the peninsula, attracting thousands of tourists each year. Viewed from the front, it looks remarkably like a beehive hut in design. And from the side, its shape is often compared to an upturned boat. The building has no roof as such. Each layer of unmortared stones overlaps the layer beneath, so that the sloping walls, which are almost 4 feet thick, meet at the top. The ridgeline is covered by 9 capstones. The layers of different coloured sandstones are tilted downwards, allowing rainwater to run off. And the interior of the oratory is almost as dry today as when it was first built. Experts have different opinions on the age of Gallarus, but it is believed to be between 900 and 1200 years old. In common with churches of this time, the building is orientated east to west. This allows the early morning light through the perfectly constructed round-headed window in the east gable. And the evening light through the narrow doorway in the west gable. Where the walls and gables meet, the stones are neatly shaped in a line from base to ridge. This style of architecture, known as corbelling, has been in use in Ireland for thousands of years. The oratory may have replaced an earlier church on the same site, and a stony area beside the building is similar in size and shape to the existing church, but only excavation will determine what lies beneath. A small cross-inscribed stone stands near the enclosing wall beside the oratory. Some believe that such stones were erected over the graves of the founders of these monastic settlements. The origin of the Irish or Gaelic name Gallarus is uncertain and may refer to a physical feature in the surrounding landscape rather than to the monastic site itself. We know nothing about the people who spent their whole lives here. No written record of their passing survives. Whatever unanswered questions there are about this unique archaeological monument, one thing is certain. The builders of Gallarus Oratory had achieved a mastery of the craft of stoneworking. small monastic settlements eventually disappeared following great changes in the Christian church in the 12th century. Large parish churches in Romanesque style, such as this one at Kilmalcather near Gallarus, were built all over Ireland. The churchyard contains some unique monuments from earlier centuries, such as this Ogham stone. Ogham is the earliest form of written Irish and first came into use around the same time that Christianity arrived in Ireland. Of the more than 350 Ogham stones found in Ireland, there are some 60 on the Dingle Peninsula. 9 Ogham stones are contained within this monastic enclosure at Ballintaggart near Dingle. The origins of Ogham writing are a mystery, but it may have been used as a form of secret script. A group of 6 Ogham stones is found in the grounds of this college near Dingle Harbour. Two of the stones are long and rounded like the ones we've already seen, and the other 4 of the more usual standing type. The grooves or markings represent letters of the Roman alphabet. And it is generally believed that Ogham stones were used as grave markers, with the name of the deceased person, their father, and sometimes a distant ancestor being inscribed on them along the edge of the stone. Near the Ogham stone at Kilmalcather is found an ancient sundial. Inside the ruined church stands the alphabet stone, the only known example in Ireland. The Roman alphabet is carved along one edge, and the stone may have been used to teach students the art of writing. Beside the church is St. Brendan's house, named in honour of St. Brendan the Navigator, who, according to legend, sailed westwards from the Dingle Peninsula and discovered the North American continent almost 1,000 years before Columbus. Not long after Kilmalcather Church was built, Ireland was invaded by the Normans from Britain. And so began a period of great social and cultural change that has lasted to the present time. The Normans built castles or tower houses at strategic locations, such as this one at Menard near Dingle. Another ruined tower house stands at Rahannan near Ventry. These have become part of the archaeological landscape and part of the story of the various cultures and people who arrived, flourished and declined here over the past 6,000 years. We hope you've enjoyed this brief introduction to the story of the Dingle Peninsula. There is much more to see, so why not explore it for yourself?